We all get the same 24 hours in a day, but it's what we do with these 24 hours that makes us feel like we have more time or no time at all. Fortunately, the key to having more time is not to work harder or faster, but to apply a few simple principles to your life to create more time for things you love. In this video, I'm sharing 4 things you need to do in order to have more time. My name is Jelena and I'm a VP of product in a cool startup during the work week, and on weekends I share my passions for product management, personal productivity and remote work on this channel. If this is something that you're interested in, please consider subscribing. I think we can all agree that we all need a bit more time in our lives for people, experiences and things we want to do. But we're all given the same 24 hours in a day. While there is nothing much any of us can do to increase the number of hours in a day, what we do with those hours is 100% under our control. So here are 4 things to live by to feel like you've been given more than 24 hours in a day. So here it goes. Number 1, have a schedule. I'm a huge fan of having a schedule. Clearly, I have a whole video recorded on this topic. I love planning my time. I think it is one skill and that one thing that I do that had the most impact on the quality of my life and the results I'm creating. I know most people are not very excited about the idea of having every minute of their day planned and scheduled because they feel constrained. But in all honesty, having a schedule and planning my time has brought me more freedom and, funnily enough, more time than anything else. Before I started planning my week ahead of time, I used to waste a ton of time every day figuring out what I needed to get done. I either had an endless to-do list that made me feel anxious and frustrated, or I had no agenda for the day at all, and I would end up with other people taking away my attention for things that mattered to them. By the time I was done with other people's things, and when I'd finally figure out what I was supposed to do and what was supposed to be on my list, I had no time and energy to deal with my own stuff. So instead of wasting all this time and energy every single day trying to figure out what's the most important thing that I need to be focused on right now that's going to bring me closer to my goals, I actually just sit once a week for an hour and plan my entire week. I actually want to start planning my entire month this way. So once a week, a responsible version of myself sits down and creates a schedule for the upcoming week that's aligned with the goals that I have and priorities in my life. In my schedule, I'll include everything from gym time, work, meetings, work tasks, work around this YouTube channel, social activities, basically everything and anything that I need to get done that week or that I want to experience that week. I have an in-depth video that I'll link down below that goes deeper into my planning process. But the point is that having this schedule really helps me to actually have more time because I'm consciously planning my time once a week for an hour instead of panicking every single day because I don't know what should be on my A-list. By planning my time, I actually create more time for people and things that are important to me, and then I just execute the plan that I created. So if you don't have a schedule, consider building one for yourself. And if you never had a schedule before, instead of planning every single second of your day, start by planning and placing a few things on your schedule and then work from there to add more things. So you can't go from 0 to 100 in a heartbeat. You'll overwhelm yourself. Just start small and improve from there. Number 2, have a routine. Okay, so our brains are pretty lazy when it comes to doing things that require a lot of cognitive strain, but our brains love routines. This means that we can use the power of routines to automate some of the things in our lives. For example, a few years ago, I wanted to read more books. I bought a few books that I wanted to read, and I kind of hoped that I'll have time to read them. But of course, I never had the time. So after a while, I realized that just wanting to read more is not really going to help me to actually read more. Instead, I decided to embed this new habit of reading in my already existing morning routine. My morning routine was very basic at the time. I just included a quick visit to the bathroom, then straight to the coffee machine, and from there I'd either scroll my social media, which I wouldn't recommend, or I would watch a few videos on YouTube, which honestly I also wouldn't recommend. So there's nothing wrong with this routine, but I feel like it was not really serving me too well. So I decided to replace mindless scrolling and YouTube video watching with reading. So now when I make my coffee, I grab my Kindle and I read for about 30 minutes to an hour hour, depending on how much time I have that day. And this little morning productivity routine really sets me up for a successful day and helps me create time for something I want to have more time for, which was reading in this case. So if you want to find more time for something, consider building it into your existing routine. This way you won't need to make a decision every single time, because if it's part of your routine, your brain will just execute it without much effort. Number 3, say no, and say it often. They say that a good product manager should say no and say it often, because imagine building into a software product every single feature every customer, team member, or manager requests. Well, that wouldn't be quite a useful product, now would it? And I'm sure we can name a few examples of software products that became so crowded with functionality that they're impossible for us to use. I'll be nice, I'm not gonna name names, but we all know some of the examples. So as a product manager, saying no is one skill that I needed to master to actually serve my customers well, because I don't want to overwhelm our users with endless functionality and features. Instead, I want to help them accomplish their goals quickly and effectively with the kind of minimum amount of effort. If you're trying to be everything to everyone or do everything, you'll end up doing nothing useful at all. So when it comes to our own lives, we need to be selective, and saying no and saying it often is the way to do it. When you say no to distractions and things that are not on your A-list and they're not your priority, you're actually saying yes to things you want more of in your life. It also works the other way around. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to something else. The point is that you can't possibly have time for everything, but you can create time by saying no to things that are a distraction and don't serve you, and saying yes to things and experiences that are important to you. So get comfortable with saying no, because it's responsible to say no. Number 4, stop multitasking. Multitasking actually causes higher levels of stress and anxiety. Multitasking leads to 40% drop in productivity. Multitasking actually causes a 10% drop in IQ, and people who multitask make 50% more mistakes in their work than people who don't. And most importantly, when you multitask, each time you interrupt your workflow, it takes up to 15 minutes to regain focus again. So you'll actually end up working longer while accomplishing less. There is hardly anything to recommend multitasking, but for some reason, most of us still feel like we're getting more done when we multitask, when in fact we are not. I'm definitely guilty of multitasking, especially as someone who is pretty much productivity obsessed. I often feel like I need to be doing something with my time. Breaking this nasty habit has been something that I worked on and I still keep working on almost every day. And it's been super hard to shake this off. What helps me fight this urge of multitasking is to use the Pomodoro technique when I work. Pomodoro technique is helpful to stay focused on a single task instead of trying to do 10 things at once. And I have a video on how to use this technique that I will link down below. So each time you multitask, while you do feel like you got a lot done, all the research shows that all of us are actually getting less done this way. And the less effectively you work, the more you'll have to work. If this is not the argument that wins over multitasking, I honestly don't know what is. So those were 4 simple things or principles you can apply to your life today to actually manage your time and energy better in order to create more time for the things you want to have more time for experiences, for the people in your lives. Thank you for watching this video. Here is another video from me, actually somewhere on the screen. I don't know why I'm pointing now. So here's another video from me somewhere on the screen that you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.